But the other talking point this weekend has been the unveiling of BJP's election manifesto and quite a few, economic correlations coming in there as well. In fact, let's just highlight a couple of those points. The BJP manifesto talked about Ayushman coverage for citizens above the age of 70, 3 crore new houses under the PM Awas Yojana, target of 3 crore Lakpati Didi, 20 lakh Mudra loans which are going to be offered, 50,000 plus loans for street vendors, food processing hub, power rural economy, focus in social, digital, physical infrastructure, new satellite towns which are going to generate further employment, more Vande Bharat trains, focusing on religious tourism, and ₹0 electricity bills for households by deploying solar energy. Let's put all of this in perspective. We have with us Swaminathan Aiyar joining in on the show right now. Swami, great to have you in ET now once again. How doable does the BJP manifesto look to you, Swami?
This BJP manifesto is something that very few people will read. But what the big message is, Mr. Modi is guaranteeing more of the same. This is not a manifesto that shows large significant changes. There are a very large number of minor small changes, many of that you have mentioned. But basically, the message I would say is that Mr. Modi is going to has given you 10 very good years and is going to guarantee you more of the same. Many of the programs will be scaled up, as you said, Mudra loans may be scaled up, or some other, the number of Awas houses will be increased. There is some scaling up, but fundamentally it's more of the same because Mr. Modi has already been so successful. He has met your aspirations so well. No major change, of course. There is more of the same, scaling up.
Swami sir, good morning. Thank you for joining us. More of the same is also good news. It's like saying that if you want to stay healthy, eat well and exercise well. That's the mantra you need if you want to stay healthy. So the Indian economy is healthy, and if the manifesto is more of the same, an extension of the existing model, that's actually great news.
Yes, stability in policy is seen as positive. And I think one notable thing is that there is no attempt to compete in new freebies. When the Congress party offered 1 lakh per year to every poor family, there was some question as to will the BJP try to compete with this in its manifesto? No, absolutely no attempt. In fact, you find that on some things, PM Kisan, they have not increased PM Kisan in line with inflation. So in real terms, the PM Kisan has actually fallen. So, one major freebie has actually been reduced. And while that, we are going to give 300 units of free electricity, it's just a continuation of the rooftop solar scheme. So the notable thing is that the BJP is so confident that it does not think it has to compete in freebies. This again, I think, is a very positive thing from the point of view of investors.
Explicit mention on agriculture. Now, this again has been a pain point and I think would remain the pain point for the foreseeable future. But the fact that India should now become self-sufficient, at least when it comes to pulses, and how manufacturing has worked in agriculture, in defense, they want to essentially kickstart India becoming like an agricultural superpower. Do you think this is a thought which is a good thought, but an action which will be difficult to implement?
I do not, many past governments have attempted self-sufficiency in pulses. Many have wanted to increase production of oil seeds. That is our biggest single deficit. We are an enormous importer of edible oil. Others have made the effort and failed. As far as I can see, there are some fundamental issues regarding agroclimatic conditions and the ability to create more high-yielding varieties in these particular areas. For instance, in the case of oilseeds, the world over, the most efficient ones are genetically modified varieties, and we do not allow it. So if you don't allow it, how are you going to compete? So as far as I can see, there is talk of Atmanirbhar, talk of being an agricultural superpower. You cannot really be an agricultural superpower at this point. But we are surplus overall in agriculture. That is positive. That is not a new condition. We have already been positive for a long time. In fact, in some years we have been by far the biggest exporter of rice in the world. So yes, in rice we are super. On the other hand, you can say that this is a ruinous practice because we are producing rice in Punjab by emptying out the aquifers, and the tubes are having to go lower and lower. So environmentally, this cannot be sustainable. So I said, you can promise lots of things, but I think at the end of it all, we will be large importers of some agricultural products, just as we export other agricultural products.
Swami sir, so one has to look at the Modi 3.0 versus Modi 2.0 based on the current setup and what the BJP manifesto looks like. In your understanding, sir, how do you think Modi 3.0 could be strikingly different from Modi 2.0?
Strikingly different from?
How can Modi 3.0 be different from Modi 2.0?
As I said, the emphasis is on more of the same. The thing is not to be different. You're asking how will it be different? I think the aim of the exercise is saying, I am guaranteeing you that, I have done so well for you. I'm such a fantastic guy. The world looks up to me. I've improved the stature in the world. I have defended you against Pakistan. So I'm such a great guy. I am giving you more of the same, and I'm giving you a guarantee that I will more of the same. So the emphasis really is the more of the same, I would say, rather than saying, how is it?
In terms of energy transition, lot of emphasis on the fact that India needs to be energy Atmanirbhar or self-dependent by 2047. And for the first time, we've seen the wheel in motion where solar rooftops are becoming a reality. Electricity 24/7 is almost a done deal. Can I say that in terms of the highlight of Modi 3.0, this is one space which could see maximum economic impact going forward?
I would first say that it is not up to a manifesto right now to make a promise for 2047 because you have no idea who will be in power at that particular point of time. But yes, there is an enormous emphasis on renewables. In fact, there's an emphasis on both. We said that we will get to net zero only in 2070, which other countries have criticized as being too late. But we are very clear that on the one hand, thermal power will have to increase, atomic power will have to increase, but above all, renewable will increase. And the emphasis is in trying to make India a global leader or at least a competitor with China in renewables. Solar is there, wind power is also there. There is now this new emphasis on green hydrogen. So these are areas of enormous emphasis, and I would say that they would be very strong part of the increased investment that we are going to see in the next 5 years.
And given the fact that this time around as well, there has been a push on infrastructure development, etc., do you think that there will be a lot more aggressive in terms of execution on the infra side?
I'm not getting a proper. Sorry, can you say that again louder?
If you can hear me, I was talking about the thrust on infrastructure development. Your thoughts?
Infrastructure development actually has already been a success. In fact, the manifesto boasts about it. They say, look, at this huge number, we are doing 5,000 kilometers of railway track. We're doing so many miles of roads. We've done better than ever before. And they're promising, as I said, again more of this. I would say, in some sense, the infrastructure bottleneck is over. It was the problem of the previous 10 years, and the Modi administration has substantially solved this particular problem. It will, of course, continue going forward. But I think part of the reason why India is doing 8% growth today has been the success of infrastructure in the last 5 years, where it really has been pushed forward by government investment. And they will continue with, as I said, more of the same. This has been a successful venture and it will continue. It will be an area of very substantial investment as it has been in the past.
Swami, many brokerages critiquing the manifesto this morning, also talking about that, while, like you said, it's more of the same, the manifesto, it completely lacks or skips any reference to structural reforms. There's nothing on, changes to, say, the labor or the land laws in a manifesto.
Well, as they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, they are boasting about how fantastically good the current model is. So if it's already such a good model, why should you be doing structural reform? No, it is not that structural reform is not required. For instance, India currently has the most filthy polluted cities. 6 of the 10 most polluted cities in the world. Does the manifesto say anything as to how it's going to address that particular problem? I don't see anything. On education, you still have Pratham's reports showing that in the rural areas, guys in class 5 cannot read a class 2 text, and fellows who are graduating can't do simple mathematical things. And there is no improvement in the last 10 years. Is there anything in the manifesto to crack that one? No. On employment, what do they say? We are going to fill vacancies. Or I would say that if you've already been in power for 10 years, why are there so many vacancies? You've had plenty of time to fill them. Why don't you fill them? So on these key issues like employment, education, environment, and the final, I would say, is the police judicial system, which is still so useless. Well, frankly, it's being misused to harass opposition politicians as far as the police system is concerned. And courts remain as low as ever. I don't see any structural change there. As I said, on these 4 areas, education, employment, environment, and the police judicial system, I think major structural reforms are required, but they have not been attempted. And they have not been attempted because they are not easy areas to do. The attempts so far have not got very far. And the BJP does not want to rock the boat at this particular point of time, even though it does have the political capital to do so. So it is not attempting to do structural change in these 4 very important areas.
Swami sir, last question. Now for taxpayers, what is important? Okay, India is growing, income is growing, but taxes are not coming down. There is an explicit mention this time around that honest taxpayers would be rewarded. So can I assume that the indirect messaging now is that the tax rates at individual gradually and slowly should start coming down? This is not the time when the government is really hungry for tax collections, but a small cut also at individual taxpayer level could go a long way in terms of messaging and winning hearts.
As I said, Mr. Modi has not been notable in cutting taxes in the last 10 years. If anything, they've gone up. So I do not think this is part of his agenda. There was an argument earlier that you are reducing corporate tax rates closer to the level of your ASEAN competitors. Your income tax rates are much higher. So why don't you reduce those? That argument so far has not carried conviction with Sitaraman or Modi. And as far as I can see, they are not going to change that. In fact, they believe that public sector investment is so important that they would like the ratio of tax revenue to GDP to increase from the current 70% 17 or 17 to 18%. They would like it to increase to 20%. So the emphasis, I do not think, is going to be on individual rates at all. Something about honest taxpayers, I'm not quite sure how exactly you identify who is honest, who is not honest. I think they certainly want to that people who have only salaried income, we try to treat them better. This is part of their appeal to the middle class. So maybe you could have improvements in things like standard deduction for such people. But fundamentally, I do not see much change in income tax rates.
Thank you, Swami, for joining in as always and giving us your expert take on what exactly the manifesto has outlined. So yes, enormous emphasis on renewable energy, tough to deliver when it comes to the agri superpower, but as Swaminathan Aiyar is describing it as the manifesto is old wine in a new bottle.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.